Hi everybody, welcome back to Regina's World. I am here to do a special story time. Why you ask this? Because I have been following this R. Kelly story and trial since it began, and I have been compelled to talk and speak and tell my own experience. And I wanted to be very careful of the things that I say, how I say it, how I present it, because my story is similar, but not in any shape, form, fashion, and exact. Or I don't want to diminish anybody who's been through a more, devastating experience, or their experience was more violent or anything like that. I was compelled to tell mine because I'm sure that there is going to be other many young girls who will go through the exact same thing I have gone through, or is currently going through it because of, first of all, where they live. And this happens a lot, especially in impoverished areas. And the young girls that are attracted or getting attention from these older men like myself is living in a hood and hoping to get out one day and looking for the golden ticket. And the hood celebrity in the hood is the biggest the drug dealer. So that's my experience. So while I'm going to tell the story, I never told it. I just wanted to say that only a handful of people know about it, and that's the people that I pretty much grew up with, who experienced it with me, who gone through it with me. Other than that, I never even desired to tell this story, not even once. I never felt. I just wanted to say I never felt like anger towards him. I never felt sadness about it. I never felt anything. The only thing I questioned was this the start? Was this the reason why I became maybe promiscuous or something because he was my first. And my first experience with men and my first experience with sex and everything. So was this a chain reaction of how I ended up in the future? I still don't know, but maybe. But I wanted to come across and say that first, so I'm not trying to compare or give like to or diminish anyone else's story. I'm just telling my own, okay? So if you want to hear about my experience as a child with sexual assault, please hit that like button first. Subscribe to this channel, because this is the kind of content and story times that you get from me. Real, authentic, truthful story times. So we're going to get right into this video, and I won't hold you guys up. Okay, so I was, first and foremost, if you have followed my stories and watch my story times, I grew up in a really religious home. So I was not dating, I wasn't doing any of that pretty much until I got into high school. That's when I started became interested in boys and so forth and so forth. And this person was my first experience. So by the time I was 14, I was, growing up and filling out and growing boobs and butts and hips and things like that. So older men was attracted to me because I had a real body. And then I was an athlete, so I had an athlete's body. No fat on me whatsoever, just body, yada yada. Okay. So they were attracted to me, yes. And I was attracted to them. But it took me a while to realize that I was even allowed to, because of how I was raised. I was even afraid to talk to men at that time because of how I was raised. And I remember they knew that first of all, the people knew that because my brother at this time became a minister. So my whole house was very religious. All we did was wear skirts and everything like that. So they all knew that. And I was the youngest, and I was considered pretty much the prettiest out of my sisters. So with that being said, I did not, I was gullible. I'll say that I was green and gullible because I never had a boyfriend. No, never had a boyfriend. Never been touched. Never even been kissed by this time. And I was how old was I? I was 14, 15 around this time. Never been touched. Never been kissed. Nothing. Right. So the people that used to live next door was my brother's best friends. They all went to school together. They was all around the same age except one. And that was the one I actually ended up with. Okay. So his best friend was named, no, I'm not going to name anybody. So his best friend actually lived next door. The other people was his best friend's cousins. And they were all well known around the neighborhood. Why? Because they was the biggest drug dealers in the neighborhood. So again, those were the hood celebrities, the guys that have the nice cars, that make all the money, that's the drug dealers, have women throwing themselves at their feet. They can get any woman they want, the hood celebrities, aka the drug dealers. So I wasn't interested in, dealing with those men. I just kind of liked the attention because once we got off the bus from high school and started walking down the street, they would be outside like dogs in heat. And it'd be a bunch of us walking down the street, and they'll be hooping and hollering, and, oh, can I get your number? And when you gonna let me hit? And all this other stuff. And I was just like, my brother would kill you. So I just would pass them and say hi and speak, because my other sister used to be over there with them all the time. But she was older, right? So it was okay for her to be over there. My sister, she is like 10 years. Was she 10 years older than me? I'm 37. No. She's like 5 years older than me. So it was okay for her to be over there. It wasn't okay for me to be over there, but it was okay for her to be over there. And she was way much stronger than me. So she handled herself a little bit different than I did anyway. So, I was pretty much the most sheltered because I was the youngest, and I'll explain why. Okay. So, that first started off with his youngest brother, who used to try to talk to me. I wasn't really interested in his youngest brother because I knew of him. I knew of him like crazy. So he was very free, if you know what I mean. Like I think he was the exact same age as my sister. So he was closer in age to me. Because he was in his 20s. My sister, I said, is 5 years older than me. So by the time I was 15, she was like 21. So he was closer in age to me, even though he was still wrong if that he tried to talk to me. He was closer in age. But I knew of him because he was very popular with the ladies around town. Like, he used to date everybody. Like, he used to date some girls, my best friend's cousin, while I was in high school. The same time he was trying to talk to me, then he turns around and end up talking to that same best friend, her best friend. So he already dated my best friend's cousin. Now he's dating my best friend's best friend. Like, she had her own best friend. She's passed away now, rest in peace, Kiana. But he dated her too. So he was just all over the place. He just slang his ding-a-ling everywhere. And he wanted me too. I wasn't that impressed with him. Like, I just wasn't, just because I knew him. And then I think he slept with my sister as well. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he slept with my sister too. So he used to just slang his dick anywhere it can land. So I wasn't impressed with him. Not even a little bit. But his brother took notice that I wasn't impressed with him at all. And this is when he came into the story. Okay, so I don't even remember how we really began talking. I really don't. I don't even remember how he even came up to me or introduced. All that is a blur. I just remember somehow he got my attention. And when he did get my attention, he got it. And he was twice my age. So I was 15 turning 16. He was 35 turning 36. And he was a lot different from his little brother. His little brother was, very loud. You know him when he's in the area. The guy that I ended up with was more silent, quiet, low-key type killer. Like, his name fitted him perfectly. I can't say his name, but his name described him perfectly. So he was the more quiet type person. So that's how he ended up getting me, because he wasn't all, out there. And he did that for a reason. One, because I told you he was the biggest drug dealer. He can't be all like, boisterous and all that stuff, because that'll draw attention to him. So he likes to move in silence. So that's what he did. He moved in silence. And he somehow he got me. Somehow he got my number. I'm sure he asked for it. All that again is a blur. So I was dealing with him for a while. The only people that knew that I was dealing with him was my sister, with my two sisters. Those were the only two people who knew. I didn't tell anybody else, because first of all, he told me not to tell anybody else. Keep it silent, because of course, our ages. And he had a girlfriend. He had a main girlfriend. She was gorgeous. She was with him all the time. Once again, I was a virgin, so I didn't know anything. I was green as can be. Never been kissed, never been touched. And here comes this grown man who have sought me out, found me, noticed me, got my attention, got my number. Now we're talking on the phone. We're slowly talking on the phone. Then the next thing, over a period of time, he asked me, have I ever had sex before? I said, no, I'm a virgin. He said, well, I'm going to take your virginity, or something like that. Or do you want me to take your virginity or something? I didn't know if I was ready or not, because I haven't really, at this point, I wasn't really even thinking about sex or even having sex, because I was so into the Christian-based lifestyle. I wasn't really even thinking about having sex. But when I was with him, I trusted him. I'm like, I guess if that's what I got to do to be with you, then I guess so, So the first time we ever had sex, I was terrified. We went down into the neighbor's basement, because they had a whole nother room down there, to the neighbor's basement. It was dark. I think it was maybe a TV and like a mat downstairs. Nothing spectacular. And we was in this off to the side. And so nothing, it was very small. And I guess that's where he take his people, his girls or whatever. I don't know. But I know I was one of them. So it was just like Love and Basketball, in the sense of everything whatchamacallit said in the movie. That's what he said to me. I knew it hurted. I do remember that. And then he said, do you want me to stop? And I looked at him and I was like, no. And then we kept going. And then eventually, I lost my virginity to him. I started bleeding. I was crying. I was screaming. I didn't know what the heck was going on. Didn't know anything about the hymen. I knew nothing, right? Because I've been in church my whole life. I didn't know anything about all this. So, eventually, we started doing it regularly. And now I'm like caught up, because I think I'm in love with this person. And this person ain't in love with me. I'm just another one of their victims, another one of their girls that didn't, on their roster. So I was very easily manipulated. I mean, whatever he told me to do. So this is the part where I can relate to the girls in R. Kelly stories and all the young girls, because again, at the same time this was happening to them, this was happening to me. Like, so I wasn't angry, and I'm not angry about it. It was just, this is just how I was able to understand how this ended up happening to them, because you're so your mind is so clouded by the person, and you think you're so in love with this person, and then you're so young, and then and this is something that I remember him saying to me: I'm going to train you to be exactly what I want you to be. Because he knew I was never touched. He can make me do anything I wanted to, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. He said he's going to train me to be exactly what I want him to be. And in all these documents and court things, I kept hearing, R. Kelly tell these girls something similar. I'm going to train you to do this. Let daddy train you. Let daddy raise you. Let daddy teach you how to do this. They mold you when they get you at a certain age, especially that young. It gets you to mold you into exactly what they want you to be. I was a little bit rebellious after a while, but I'll get to that too. How we ended up breaking up and whatever. You're like, but this is how they get you. They get into your mind. They make you believe certain things. They, They do certain things to woo you in at that young age. You think you in love, especially if you get him like me, who was a virgin, who didn't know anything. It was easy for him to attach himself to me and me to attach himself to him, and know I was going to be, his girl for a very long time because I was a virgin. When you lose your virginity, is something special. When you lose it to somebody who don't deserve it and who don't appreciate it, you get attached to that person no matter what. You're attached to your virginity taker, and I definitely was. So I began to be whatever he told me to do. I mean, he had the house phone number, and I used to answer it. He used to text my cell phone and be like, I'm gonna call the house phone, answer it. And then I will run in the house, answer it, or not run in the house, get from one room, go grab the house phone before anybody else do, and start talking to him on the house phone. I began to be really sneaky. I hid everything. When he was outside, I couldn't say anything to him because he felt that would give it away. So I was able to speak to everybody else around him, but I wasn't able to really hold a conversation with him. The most I could do was just say hi and keep going because he didn't want anybody to know that we were dealing with each other. Eventually, they found out anyway, and I explained how to. But I was just like, whatever you want. I was willing to do whatever he wanted. If he called me and said, go in the bathroom, raise your shirt up, I want to see them titties, that's exactly what I'm going to do. If he says, sneak out the house, I don't care if you make your brother upset and come over here and come over and do what I asked you to do, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm driving my brother crazy at this point because he know I'm doing something. He just don't know exactly what. He know I'm seeking out to go meet somebody. He just don't know exactly who. He don't know where I'm going. I'm literally next door in the basement, looking out of the window, looking at my brother running out the house, trying to find where I didn't went to because I didn't just disappeared. He have no idea where I went to. Okay, so what I do appreciate is something that he used to do, and that has pretty much kind of followed me into my adulthood. So when we start having sex regularly, and I repeat that he already had a main girlfriend that he was with for a very long time, and if what he used to do, if I had an itch or odor or something down there, he would be like, go to the doctor, because again, he didn't want to end up sleeping with me and then taking something to his girlfriend and then have to explain to him where he got it from. So he was very adamant about staying clean and getting my vagina checked all the time. And that kind of has followed me into my adulthood because I'm still the same way to this day. If I sleep with somebody new, I go to the doctor. If I'm sleeping with the same person and something goes wrong, or I smell an odor or something, I'm going to the doctor. Or if I sleep with somebody that kind of broke, I'm going to the doctor. I need to find out if my vagina is good at all the time. You know what I mean? Because who wants that? Who wants that? I've had my fair share of some kind of diseases in the past. I've had my fair share. I've been honest about that too. But I always catch that shit and get that shit fixed. You know what I mean? But so that for that part, I am grateful. That's something that he did teach me when I was young, that has followed me throughout my entire adulthood. But with that being said, I was not allowed to date anybody else except him for a very long time. And since I met him when I was a freshman in high school, so I didn't have my first boyfriend until I was a junior? I think I was a junior going into my senior year. So my freshman and sophomore year, I only talked to him. Didn't talk to anybody else. Freshman, sophomore year, only him. My junior year is when I met my high school boyfriend. And I will talk about that in another story time, how that was. But eventually when me and him decided to start having sex, I had to tell Snipes that, I said his name. Jesus. Well, I had to tell him that I have a boyfriend that I want to get intimate with. And he was like, have you had sex with anybody else prior to him? I was like, no, I've never slept with anybody else but you. He was like, okay, I'm allow it. He said, make sure you wear protection. Eventually, protection stopped with me and my high school boyfriend, but once it did, I had to tell him that too. And he was always on me, or you making sure you're good, because I don't want to go behind you and catch something from old boy, or blah, 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 blah. So I had to be totally 100% honest about everything that I was doing when I started having sexual intercourse with my high school boyfriend. I'm like, but the affair with or situation with me and him went on for a very long time. So how did me and him get caught up? Let's get into that one. So at some point, I remember the day, right? It was just weird. I went over there to have sex. I got home from school, and I told him that I wanted to have sex, and he was cool with that. So I was going over there before anybody came home or anything like that from my house and his cousin's house. And I didn't want to have sex on the couch. He was insisting on us having sex on the couch, insisting, and I just didn't want to. I was just like, I want to have sex on the floor. I'm like, put the pad on the floor. I just want to have sex on the floor. So for a minute, he was like, all right, let's have sex on the floor. But it just wasn't working for him, right? It wasn't working for him whatsoever. And he was like, let's get back on the couch. And I was like, whatever. And then it was what he was doing what made me, I didn't ask him, but I just had a feeling that he was recording me, because he put me in a specific spot that he said, don't move out of this spot. We're going to stay right here. And I was like, why? That's weird. He was like, who are you talking to? I was like, never mind. I'm like, nothing. So we had sex in a specific spot. Didn't move at all. I think I was riding him, I believe. And I never really even thought about it after that. After that, I just let the thought go that he was recording me, and I never even brought it up again. Until they were watching it. Now remember, I told you, my brother was my neighbor's best friend. So they had keys to each other's homes. They were all in there watching it. Wasn't expecting my brother to come over there at the time, because my brother, again, was a minister. So he didn't go over there that often. He used to hang with them, when it was outside barbecuing or whatever like that. But he was not like, he did not like hang with them like that, because he was a minister. He couldn't do all the stuff that they used to do, and they respected that. But this particular night, my brother just went over there. He was like, I ain't doing nothing. I think it was a football season or something. They always gathered. There was always a whole bunch of them over there when it was football season to watch the game. And they used to always gather in the living room, and used to hear them because they used to have the doors open and stuff. So I'm assuming probably that's when my brother thought they probably was the game or something. I don't know. He walked in and they all froze. They all froze like dead corpse. My brother was like, what y'all watching? I thought y'all, and he noticed that there was me and him on the screen. And my brother flipped out and tried to attack him instantly, of course. I'm going to stop the story right there. I'm going to stop the story, and I'm going to come back to that story. Now, by this time, I no longer live in St. Louis, right? I no longer live there. Time had gone by. I had stopped messing. People around the neighborhood started finding out. How they started finding out, I'm not even exactly sure how they started, but you start hearing murmurs and stuff, and people used to ask me, are you messing with him? I'm like, who? No, of course not. He is so old. Of course not. Like, girl, I don't know what it is, but I keep hearing that you are messing with him. I'm like, I am not messing with him. I just denied it every time somebody brought it to me. Never admitted to it, not once. But the people who knew that I was messing with him, but never admitted to it, not once. So I end up moving away and going to college. And this is when it all came out. So that's when my brother went over there and he was watching it. And by this time I was like 18, 19, I'm gone. My brother and him was like, they almost had a fight. They kicked my brother out of the house, etc. My brother calls me and was like, I asked you, was you messing with him? I asked you. And I was like, I didn't mess with him. He said, you're lying. I saw you on video. I saw you on fucking video. I was, first of all, I was not in Missouri anymore. So what can you do to me? So I was like, okay, fine. Yes, me and him was did do something. Yes, we was involved for 4 years. Yes, we was involved for 4 years. He was like, 4 years? 4 years? I'm gonna kill him. I said, no, you're not. No, you're not. I said, yes, I totally agree that what went down, what took place was wrong. I was young. He was in his 30s. I should not have been involved with him. Absolutely. But guess what? I am no longer in Missouri. I have a whole new life in Alabama. I was in Alabama. I was at Alabama State. I said I have a whole new life in Alabama. I am not involved with him whatsoever. That happened so long ago. I said, you can do one or two things. You can be angry about it. You can kill him. He said, if I would have known this when it was happening, I would have killed. I said, exactly. And no one wanted that. I didn't want you to kill him. I didn't want you to go to jail for that situation. I'm like, let that man live his life. I said, and right now, what is the point of it? Yes, you did here. You did. Absolutely. I said, but what? You gonna fight him? Fight him for what? I'm no longer there. Let that man live his life. And I said, you're not finna go to jail over something that happened so long ago. It's not even worth it anymore. I said, yes, I admit I shouldn't have been messing with them. But I was, and I can't change that. So eventually my brother was like, fine, I'm not even gonna do anything. But I knew my brother wanted to kill him. If my brother knew then, he would have killed him. It would have been an all-out war. So that's why I just denied it for so long. I denied it for years. I'm like, no, because I knew my brother. My brother was hardcore. He was a blood for so long. Even though he was a minister now, he changed his life over. That doesn't mean he still wasn't gang affiliated. I'm like, so no, I didn't want that to be the situation to come between him and his best friends and all that stuff. I'm like, so I moved on with my life. I don't know what he's doing at this very moment in his life. I don't even know if he probably still is alive, but I don't know at this point. When the R. Kelly trial, not the trial, but the documentary came out, and I made some videos and I put it on my Instagram about this same subject. Right now I'm doing an actual video. I did some videos, clips on my Instagram and talked about it there. And then his brother, the youngest one, followed me on my Instagram. I don't know if he still followed me, but I know he did at the time. And then he saw my videos and he hit me in the DMs. And I'm going to see if I can find the DMs. If I can find the DMs, I'm going to put them right here. And see and show that he actually apologized and said that I am totally sorry. I did not mean to hurt you guys. I did not mean to hurt you, blah, blah, blah. But even though it came from him, he's not the person who did it. I wasn't involved with the younger brother, but I did appreciate the apology. I was involved with his brother. So his brother was the one who needs to actually apologize and address it and acknowledge that you were I don't want to call him a pedophile. I don't want to call him that. I just want to call him, I don't know what's the right word to call him. They was too old to be dealing with young girls like ourselves. And that was everybody in my neighborhood. Like all of us was the same age. I'm like, even though we were running around with them and on the hill, as they call it, that's where all of them used to hang out at. We were always on the hill, flying in front of the guys. I get it. I do. Like, I get it. It's a hard situation to say because we was around them all the time. And we got involved with them. We did. So I take responsibility for my part, and they have to take responsibility for theirs. And I'm sure this is still going on to this day in many hoods around the U.S. Because there's always going to be men in power. There's always going to be men who selling drugs. There's always going to be men who is in the streets. There's always going to be men like that. And there's always going to be a hood where hood girls grow up and looking for a way out. So that is my story, and I wanted to say, if anybody who sees this story, I just want you guys to stay encouraged and know that I don't want to call myself a victim, because I don't even feel like I'm a victim. Once again, I'm not angry about what happened. I'm not upset at him or anything like that. I don't feel like he abused me. I just feel like if I would have known better, I would have did better. And me being a virgin, I was very naive with a lot of things, and that was one of them. It Would I change it? I don't know. I really don't know. But I know I was taken advantage of at an early age, and it should have never happened. So that's why I'm talking about it to this day. So young girls, stay encouraged. If you see this, a message like this, if you're in a situation that you don't feel comfortable with, get out of it. Period. If there's an older guy who you know that it's too old for you, tell somebody. Get you out of it. Don't get involved with him, because there's no way that relationship is going nowhere. It's nowhere situation. You're not going to be with him at the end of the day. He's too old for you at all. It's technically, I don't want to use RAPE words. I don't want to say any of that. It's illegal for somebody that old to be messing with you when you're a young teenager. Take R. Kelly's situation for a prime example. He was too old to be messing with 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls. Too old. So if it's happening to you, just know it's wrong just as well. Whether or not he's giving you money, whether or not he's having the craziest sex of your life, you are naive just like I was, it is all wrong at the end of the day. It's wrong. He did not supposed to be having any kind of sexual acts with you, because according to the law, you are not old enough to make those kind of decisions, and he is. Reach out to somebody, ask for help, tell somebody, and just be careful, ladies. It is a dangerous world out there, and I wanted to tell this story to encourage someone else. So thank you again for watching my channel. Follow me on my social media, Keyshawn Maurice Robinson on Facebook, and Sleepless and LVMV on Instagram. Again, thank you. If you made it to the end of this video, I hope you liked it. Give it a thumbs up. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And have a wonderful day. Bye.